What's up, guys? Welcome back to Roensch Capital Charts. Today we're taking a look at Nvidia stock, ticker symbol NVDA, on a variety of time frames in anticipation of the next trading day, Monday, April 8th. All right, guys, Nvidia stock here on Friday, finishing out the week up $20.89 per share. That's plus 2.43% in regular trading hours. Let's get into it here over the weekend, heading into Monday, trying to pull out as much bias as the market will possibly give us here from Friday, using things like the volume profile, psychological levels, technical levels, trading levels that I expect will be in play on Monday. Finally, finishing out with the options, directional bias, and expected move. Let's jump in. And let's get started here with our volume profile analysis just quickly here on the 5-minute chart. Listen, guys, the new uploading schedule is live. Nvidia is a daily upload every single weekday. The Nvidia video will hit at 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time sharp every weekday. So if you have not done so already, please subscribe to the channel. I'm trying to hit 6,000 in the next couple of days here. I think we'll blast through that this weekend with your help. So I appreciate it. Let's dive in. All right, now here on the volume profile, a couple of things that I'm primarily interested in, moves that is. This dump and pop that we saw off the open, and then really this upside fade I want to take a look at. And that's really about it today, because we got a lot of consolidation into the close after those two moves. So let's take a look here. Quite the contextual open, high volume, and then we begin that fade. We did get a pop on this bar, but listen, bulls, for me, a single higher volume bar, it just isn't quite enough for me to really go and assign bias. I'm a little bit uncomfortable doing so. I need at least a few consecutive bars to really understand that bias, but that was a rather large green candle. And then throughout the rest of that move, we really got that contextual fade. So on that first move, I'm not going to assign much bias there. On the second move, this upside, we got kind of a pop, slow fade back to that 9 EMA, and then pop. All right, if we take a little bit of a closer look at that move, we can see that was very obvious. This here cancels each other out. This here, it's there. It's slight, but it's there. We're seeing consecutive green bars. Was that 7 consecutive green bars? And on quite a few of them, the volume is a little higher than what would be contextual at 11:45 Eastern time, which is basically lunch hour on the street. So I'm going to go ahead and assign a little bit of a bullish bias once we, peel back that onion and look at the volume profile to align with that mid-morning push, late morning, I should say, that we got to intraday highs. Now, let's move on to the 30-minute chart and take a look at the psychological, self-fulfilling prophecy levels that traders, and I think you guys should and will be paying attention to come Monday. So if you guys remember last night's or Thursday's video, okay, we really gave up the 50 period hard yesterday after reclaiming it overnight, Wednesday night into Thursday morning. Today, listen, it was sloppy. It was quite sloppy. We reclaimed it mid to late morning. We held it. We gave it up, right? And we finished just barely above it. For me, guys, this is like day one break and hold at its finest. I have to take this with a grain of salt. We didn't spend the majority of the day above that level, and we didn't see a tremendous amount of volume above that level, let alone a clean break, pullback, and hold. Okay, we just barely reclaimed it heading into the close. So what I'm looking for come Monday on the 30-minute chart out of Nvidia, and I expect we're going to see a lot of traders watching for the same thing, is any retest of that white line, that 50 period moving average. Okay, I want to see a low volume retest. We're already above it, so average volume, fine. But then boom, a hold on above average, really as much volume as possible. That's a big sample size, guys. Volume in a situation like this, don't underestimate the importance of it. It's very important. It gives us new insight into what the market is really thinking and what the sample size behind that thought process actually looks like. If Nvidia can pull that off here on the 30-minute come Monday, that could set us up for a push up to that 200 period here on the 30-minute, because that's really the next level ahead of 9, which is kind of like the near-term big goal. All right, bears. You have one goal come Monday. Break back downside beneath the 50 period, similar to what you had pulled off Thursday, unable to hold on Friday. Break back beneath it on high volume, low volume retest, and then boom. Ideally as clean as possible, reject on big volume. That could set you guys up for that next level, which is a downside test of 850. Let's move on to the 4-hour chart and take a look and see how in play the 4-hour is here. We currently find ourselves right about halfway in between that channel, between the 200 period, which is about 4.75% of the downside away, and the 50 period, which is about 3.5% upside away. But you guys notice anything? There's a tighter channel, a more immediately relevant channel come Monday between 850 and 9. Both of these moving averages on the 4-hour are outside of those levels. So for me, I'm paying attention to the 4-hour if it comes to it, meaning a break above 9 or below 850. But my immediate concern is the daily, which paints the big picture, what the battle really is going to look like come Monday. Listen, guys, this channel, it's, for Nvidia, we've seen crazier things. It's really not all that wide. We're about 2.25% away from 900, which is a huge psychological and technical level. And 850 is about 3.5% to the downside away. Here's what I'm watching come Monday. This is my primary thought process on Nvidia on Monday. Bears. 900 is your absolute enemy. Any test you need to reject. Okay, that range. It's never an exact penny, but reject that range. Bears, your goal come Monday is to break downside below 850 on as much volume as possible. And if it comes to it, if that occurs early enough in the day, you want to see a retest on ideally below average volume. And then, boom, above average confirmation, back downside, rejecting, reclaiming 850 as a resistance level. Bulls, any test of 850, hold that level. Hold that region as support, ideally. That's kind of like a backstop that we've seen. The goal on Monday, if you're a bull, a beautiful thing to see would be a high volume break up through the huge psychological level of 9, low volume retest, and boom, high volume hold. Right? What does that tell us? It tells us that we get a large amount of confidence on the break, a much lower amount of confidence on the retest breaking back downside, and then as it holds, you get all the confident traders coming back in and saying, yeah, we're holding this back upside, and they all pour back in. Again, a high level of confidence on the confirmation as well as the break. That would be a great thing to see. Now, implied volatility over the last month, it fell again here on Friday heading into the weekend. It's low. If you're seeing some IV crush, this is your culprit. Also understand the lower IV goes compared to your relevant intended trade time frame, the better conditions become for new options buyers to come in and purchase new contracts. All right, now expected move. Let's take a look at this. If you take a look, the next expiration that we have is April 12th on Nvidia. Now that's next Friday at the close. The expected move out of the market is plus or minus $37.61 by Friday's close. If we divide that by 5 trading days, since we look ahead to the next week, it's not like we have an earnings event or something that would make one day outsized. You get about an expected move of about $7.52 per share per day, plus or minus. That's the volatility expectation. But what I like to do, since that assumes that we're talking about a 5-day winning streak or a 5-day losing streak, we have to account for added volatility. I like to add 50% to that. And the market's expecting somewhere around about $11.30 or so, plus or minus each day next week out of Nvidia, which is really, it's not a ton. So understanding that and saying, that gives you an opportunity to disagree with that and position yourself more effectively with your directional bias. And you can just, bet against the market's volatility expectation with your directional bias, which we get from the volume profile, doing the analysis, looking at the psychological and technical levels. And one more thing that we can do here, the bias out of the chain, right? 1.68 million total contracts traded on Friday, 964,000 calls, 714,000 puts, a bit of a call side bias, and the short-term speculators, those short-term bets being placed, the 0 to 20 delta range, 422,000 calls, 312,000 puts, call side bias yet again in the short term. Listen, guys, if your goal is to try to expedite this process of going either part-time, maybe even full-time as a trader, I highly encourage you to check out the Roensch Capital Gold server. Every day, every trading day that is, I'm sending out my personal scalp setup alerts, in-play stock alerts, unusual options activity that I verify is truly unusual. I've been doing that for years, by the way. That's kind of how I keep track of what the whales are doing, the UOA. And then, of course, working one-on-one with my Platinum members. That link in the pinned comment, that lets you get grandfathered in at the current rate. Hope to see you join for the week ahead, and I'll see you in the next one.